Yeah.
You want to talk about headlights?
Sure. Let's do a podcast.
Let's introduce the pod.
Yeah. Podcast is tired. The car podcast for people who understand that cars are bad. My name's Peter. Rory, Maddie are here. And today we're going to talk about how the headlights are too damn bright. But also, I think it'd be fun just to talk about just like, I feel like there's a lot of just kind of weird headlight history stuff and ways that headlight configurations and things have influenced car design over the years, and it's also like another kind of example of the United States doing things one way and the entire rest of the fucking world doing them another way.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is kind of part and parcel, kind of a thread that frequently comes up in our conversations. But yeah, I mean, where should we just start with some kind of history?
I would love to know about the history of the design of the headlight, frankly. I'm all ears.
I think the big thing, like, you know, the history of headlights is one thing. I think, like, you know, they used to be a gas with like a little flame being reflected out in front of you. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And then
I think originally it was like a guy like walking with a lantern.
Yeah. But the thing is about not being able to see anything is you're only going like 20 miles an hour, so it's like it's kind of fine.
So it's fine.
Yeah. You know, obviously they've kind of evolved with the trends in whatever lighting technology, but I think like the big issue, the thing that people talk about today is like people complaining that they're being blinded by other drivers' headlights on the road. That is kind of like the, you know, like if you look at Twitter or you look at or just talk to people or whatever, it's people are like, oh my God, they're so bright now and we should ban bright headlights because when I'm driving, I see the bright headlights and they make me blind and then it's hard for me to drive. That's the common discussion, right? Like, that's why we're talking about this.
Yes, because I clock out at 11 o'clock at night and drive home in this area where there are not a lot of street lamps around, and it's just me and everyone in a car whose headlights are at roughly my eye level and head level because I'm in a sedan.
I think that's a lot of it, is that, like, most people are in crossovers and SUVs now, or trucks, and so, like, naturally you're, like, in traffic, you're at roughly eye level. Your headlights are at roughly eye level of anybody else in a car. So that's obviously like a big kind of fundamental problem that we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, and they're blinding coming at you. They're blinding in your rear view. Unless you flip down the little thing, they're blinding in your side mirrors. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the one that'll really get you, is you turn your head wrong and there's one just like coming straight at you through the coming out of your blind spot. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no escaping it at night if you're surrounded by higher profile vehicles and you're just like in your Toyota Corolla trying to live your life and drive at night.
Mm. Try driving a Miata in the 90s when fucking the default new car was a Ford Explorer.
No!
And those things in your rear view in the drive-through are just like, you know, yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, for me, I have a personal, I mean, I can bitch about this stuff, but I also, for me, it's not just headlights. It's not just car lights. It's just lights. Like, I have a particular sensitivity to light, to bright lights.
Oh yeah, the migraines. Oh.
And this is a thing that, like, and I don't know at what point it became like an acute thing, but you know, most of the time, if you see me in public, like, I will be wearing like a hat with a visor. And if it's anything more than like a dark and really cloudy day, I will be wearing sunglasses. The hat is, I'm not balding. I'm not hiding
No, the hair is quite nice, listeners.
Thank you, man. But it's like, even if, and it's not even outdoors. It's like the kind of like, like overhead kind of recessed, like LED lighting. Like this shit is like the bane of my fucking existence, And it's like, so if I'm indoors and there's, people just have like those overhead cans, and if it's not like on a dimmer switch, like that will trigger a migraine for me. So it's like, I have to have a hat on inside.
How did you manage on stage? That's crazy.
Well, there would be times, the funny thing about stage lighting is that usually that's like halogen lighting, I think.
Different wavelength.
Although, yeah, which like I'm okay with, but it's more like there's something about just like the just like the piercingness of LED lights in particular. And I know that like, look, LED, there's a million, as they've kind of proliferated, it's like now you can get like a nice warm LED glow. But like stage lighting stuff, people just like buy like these, especially in just kind of lower budget venues or whatever, like they'll just buy like these kind of like cheap ass LED arrays. And there would be times where like, there would be like this crazy like thing like to the side where it's like these side fills, but they're like LED side fills. And it's just like, it's like a fucking laser beam, just like point, like a knife of light, just like stabbing you in the fucking, cortex. And I would just have to be like, God, I cannot fucking, you got to turn that shit off. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's like, I
Brandon,
can't,
can we find a light
cannot
switch?
hang. But yeah, but kind of weirdly, like that was the exception. Luckily, that's not the reason that I that I retired. But or at least not a primary one. But the thing is, like for me, like driving at night over the years has become, and part of this is like it's hard for me to kind of disentangle like what parts of this are just part of kind of just naturally getting older. Your night vision gets worse. Yeah. That is a thing that will happen to you if you live long enough. To disentangle that from also the proliferation of LED lights and just like more intense, powerful, smaller lights. And so it's not just headlights for me. Like there are so many times where like if I'm driving at night, like in traffic, and just like the tail lights of the car in front of me are just like, I have to literally put the fucking sun visor down because like I'm getting killed by the fucking tail lights. So I think that's, I might not be the best person to speak to this in a kind of universal aspect.
I don't think I am either, because like I don't, none of the stuff registers to me in the least. It's like
you're the opposite.
Yeah,
all right,
like,
I'm Goldilocks because
I know this is an issue, and I know like it's something that people have a hard time with, but like and I believe it. I just I think like overall none of this stuff registers to me. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, am I hot? Am I cold? Am I uncomfortable? Like, is there a reason why I'm uncomfortable? Like, never even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, am I hungry? I don't know. Like, it's like
I don't
yeah. It's just like, yeah, thinking about other stuff. The lighting thing is interesting, and I think like it is, to your point, like impossible to disentangle like all the numerous factors. It's like people are like, oh, these lights are super dangerous. They're blinding me on the road, and it's like, well, that's true. They're also like providing better vision for the driver who's actually driving the car on the road, and like, so there is like, they're probably safer. And I think like if you look at the way cars are regulated in the United States, it's like based on the occupants of a given vehicle more so than like the people outside the vehicle, which is crazy. But it's also
big
like
problem.
very American though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of that kind of arms race mentality.
Well,
it's
like,
like,
also,
I want the bigger SUV so that my family is safer.
I'm in my Fortress.
Right.
If you think about like the way that a regulatory body operates, like that is, they're prescribing limits and restrictions on the way that the automaker builds the car. So necessarily, like that is, you know what I mean? Like that's going to be the result of those regulations is typically going to be like, how does this car perform in a crash? How does this car, you know what I mean? Like
right.
Versus like.
But I think that it would not be difficult to regulate lighting in a way that that finds the kind of ideal middle ground where it provides like the highest level of safety to both the person driving the vehicle and the person who's in the path of the vehicle, who is also driving a vehicle.
Yes.
Right?
Also,
that's the thing.
Like, also cyclists on pedestrians. Like,
right. Well, exactly.
There are all kinds of.
There unfortunately is like a very logical solution to this, and that's what every other country does, which we'll get to in a second.
Exactly.
And it's like, in the United States, it's like, well, we should limit the brightness emitted from the light. Like that's the solution, is we should reduce the amount of brightness from the light, which is like, I could see that as being a solution, but it's not really what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is limit the amount of light that gets put into the eyes of people who are driving or walking.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah. And it's a mitigation thing, and it's finding the ideal balance. And the thing is, yes, technologies have evolved to the point where you can actually do that.
Do both. Yeah.
Also, an issue of, once again, U.S. infrastructure. We would not have nearly as many problems with this if there was more consistent or better also lighting along a lot of highways, because where it's really bad is when you're on, like, if you're in a rural area, I get it, but I have been on a lot of bigger highways in different states on long distance drives where, like, you are out there going, like, 65 miles an hour on like a 4-lane highway, and there's no light at all except you and the other headlights and the median that you are really hoping you do not go into. Like, that's where you really get blinded.
Yeah.
And that's no good.
But I do think too, like there's a rush to find explanations that don't involve the screen in your car and that don't involve like people are like, oh, cars are way bigger, and there's the hood heights are higher and stuff. That's all really true, but it's like again, there's like everybody's trying to figure out a way to explain pedestrian deaths and like accidents and highway deaths are way down because cars are so much safer. But everybody's trying to explain that without explaining like the fact that people aren't looking at the road when they're driving. It's like that the fundamental thing with a lot of this stuff is that people are not looking. It's like they're going 70 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, even 35 miles an hour, whatever, without actually looking out the front of their car, and they're hitting stuff. And like, that to me,
well, they don't have to because autopilot takes care
that's
of
true.
it.
Yeah. Thank God we have Elon who's going to fix it with self-driving taxis this year.
And then you get the fun part where when you are watching the road and another car is coming at you, and then you cannot see the road when you're looking directly at your windshield.
Yeah, which the correct thing to do in that case is just to slam on your brakes and stop. Just joking, don't do that. Oh,
I actually do have to I have to become a self-driving car and like look at the paint on the white side of the passenger side of the road and like try to follow that with my eyes and not look at like shield myself from oncoming traffic to stay in the lane.
That's the thing. I mean, even in the, in the in the 70s and 80s, like the dark days, literally of headlights, when we're all running fucking standard issue sealed beams, that had been the exact same since the 1940s. That was the thing that you were taught. It's like, oh, if you're blinded by oncoming headlights, you just avert your eyes to the outside lane. And I mean, I still do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, and yeah, whatever. But yeah, I mean, maybe we don't have to go into ancient history, but it is funny that with headlights in the U.S., the like after kind of the kind of pre-war era of everybody just kind of experimenting with like so many other examples of automotive technology where everybody's kind of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what worked. Coming out of the war, there was quite a bit of standardization, and the way that manifested in headlights in the U.S. Was just this standardized 7-inch circular round sealed beam headlight, and this was the requirement from 1940, and that stayed. That remained unchanged. American cars all had 7-inch round headlights. Until the 70s. In 1957, they expanded it to allow for a smaller 5 3/4 inch round sealed beam. So you had like these like automotive designers basically had the choice of like, okay, do we give the car big round headlights or the slightly smaller round headlights? and that's what you had to work with. And so, I mean, like, people got creative.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, literally until like the mid 70s. And in 1974 was when the rectangular sealed beam headlight was allowed. And I feel like with those, I'm not finding it here. There were two sizes of those two. There was like a larger one and a smaller one. And this was something that, like, I did not realize, like, as a kid, that the square headlight, the rectangular headlights thing, like that was like a brand new thing.
Innovation.
I mean, I was four. so I guess I can be excused for having missed that.
Kind of a slower kid
memo.
development-wise,
Right.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
Most
I really
4-year-olds
should have
were
picked
pretty-
up on
were
that. It's
pretty
like,
on top of
wait a
that,
minute. Yeah.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait a minute. But now that I think about it, it was one of those things that, like, was just immediately seized upon by the manufacturers, and became very quickly, like, it just because it was, I mean, it was new, so I guess there was the novelty of it, but it also, I mean, kind of like during the 70s, which, you had that kind of like the new kind of design language of just stuff being like a little bit more squared off, angular, kind of rectilinear. And so those headlights very, very much kind of fit with that language. And so, you just started seeing, it just very quickly became the default. Like new cars with round headlights, were pretty unusual. Like as soon as those rectangular ones, came online. Meanwhile, in the rest of the world, unencumbered by these kind of archaic notions that it's like, yeah, we should all be using the same headlights from 1940 and 1957 respectively. They were doing all kinds of shit, like they had kind of like funky rectangular headlights like much earlier on. They had headlights like under glass, so you'd have like a recessed light, like Jaguar E-Type, where it's like the headlight is kind of in this like little cove, and then there's like a glass cover over it that kind of makes the whole thing like sleek and aerodynamic.
The headlights that turned with the steering.
I was just gonna say that the Citroen DS, and it's like totally rad. I mean, again, like round headlights under kind of like glass fairings, but also like the inner ones would pivot as you turn the steering wheel. The lights turn to point the light in the direction in which you're going.
Sick.
Fucking ingenious, right? Why would you not want that? Tucker also had that. The central headlight on the Tucker, which, how many Tuckers did they build?
6.
Like 50? 49?
Yeah, never many.
51? Yeah. I used to know that.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was an American example of that. I don't know if it was like explicitly ruled out, but
didn't end up mattering.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it got killed. That's why they killed it, because it's a revolutionary pivoting headlight technology was
GM was like, we can't. They'll
it was too radical.
Too disruptive.
The Europeans were doing all kinds. Well, and then you get into the 70s, and it's like, well, there were the Mercedes that you would buy here in the States that would kind of have like just the round headlights, or later square ones. But then it's like, you saw the European ones, and it's like, wow, they have these cool fucking like, the whole headlight is just like one kind of flush mounted glass thing, where it's like they're flush, they're smooth, like they're not, it's like it's a whole just kind of like that just like is integrated into the design of the front end of the car. And it's like, well, that's fucking slick as hell. Why can't we have that? And actually that was a case where finally, after lots of lobbying, in the early 80s, the U.S. manufacturers were able to convince Congress to revise the headlight regulations to allow for flush mounted headlights that I mean, the design, I mean, and kind of, largely for, I mean, both for reasons of style, but also you could make the justification because, of the growing awareness and movement toward kind of, that by exploiting better aerodynamics, that could be a boon to efficiency, and fuel savings, et cetera, et cetera. So starting with the Lincoln Continental Mark 7. And this was something where I was paying attention, because now, I'm like, whatever, 13, 14, and super in my fucking car nerd era. And it's like, oh, hell yes, we're going to get cool, like Mercedes lights. Fuck yeah, man. And it's like this cool, like sleek, slick, it's like, look at a picture of the Lincoln Mark 6. It's a fucking, like, it's the most ancient looking, it looks like a fucking Greek temple. It's so square. Whoa. and just like, it's cool in retrospect, but at the time it just seemed like so just ridiculously dated and just kind of dowdy and just comical. And then it's like that Mark 7 Continental, man, it was so like aero and
is a big
slick
change.
and European and modern. Like it really just felt like this tectonic shift. Wow. And the headlights were part of that, and so credit to Ford for making that happen and pretty quickly kind of spreading it through their lineup, the Thunderbirds. And you could see, like, if you look at like the 83 Thunderbird, which is kind of the first of the Aero Thunderbirds, the first ones, that still had the old fashioned rectangular headlights. You could look at that car and see that it was designed for Aero headlights, but they just like didn't get the thumbs up in time to do it. But then in subsequent, iterations of that, they were able to. And same thing with like the SVO Mustang, which the earliest examples of that car, which was kind of the European style, turbo 4-cylinder. We're gonna make like a Euro style Mustang to go along with the 5.0 that everybody wants. we're gonna try and market this one that nobody wants. But classic thing of just chasing phantoms. But
I remember you telling me about the SVO a while back. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, man. I would have bought one.
Yeah.
Fucking the double decker spoiler on the back and shit. But yeah, that was one where you got to see like the initial examples of that car. They still had the kind of recessed rectangular headlight, even though it was very clearly designed. And then like subsequent, I don't know when, I don't remember like what model year they switched to the flush design, but that kind of like I say, pretty quickly proliferated through the rest of the U.S. industry, and there was kind of no looking back. So that was an example of progress, belated progress. The flip side of this, though, and the thing with flush headlights was that, and where they were different from your kind of traditional old school sealed beams was sealed beams were just like a unit, it was just a one, it's either, the round one or the rectangular one, but it was just like one thing, and you screw it in and plug it in and it's good to go. With the newer style flush headlights, if you needed to replace if your old school headlight went out, you just went and bought a new headlight, the whole thing, and just plugged it in. With the new ones, you would go in and unscrew, there's like a bulb that would be at, in the back of that unit, and you unscrew that, unplug it, and then replace the bulb in place. So the bulb is like its own thing. That's the thing that you replace rather than the entire headlight. Which is cool if you're just like replacing the bulb, but like if you get in an accident and have to replace that headlight, like now that new modern fared in sexy headlight is kind of expensive. And this was a thing that you could actually make an argument that it's like, well, those archaic regulations, you can call them stupid, but one thing they did do was they kept, I remember like in my Miata, having to replace, having a headlight go out and just fucking go into the whatever auto zone. And, what did a 7-inch headlight cost? Like $20, $10? Yeah. They were like dirt. It was nothing, and, whereas now,
pretty routinely, like the most expensive single part on the car is a headlight, taillight.
Yeah. It's like, I wonder, like,
I had to replace the taillight.
I wonder what is the replacement cost for a current like MX-5 headlight? It's like hundreds of dollars. Obviously, I don't know. With the current tech of headlights, shit has gotten so complicated that and complex, and there are so many different types that like can you replace bulbs anymore, or is it just like the whole unit that you have to replace?
You pretty much have to replace. I don't think you can replace a headlight bulb. I think an LED is integrated into the headlight bulb. Or to the headlight.
Like with my with my Saab, 80s, Saab SPG, like that car, that was a car that I could just like pull the bulbs out. Yeah. And like that shit was fun because you could do, and this is another, traditionally headlights have been white in this country. There is also a thing called selective yellow, and which has enjoyed some popularity over the years in different parts of the world, and it's still like sometimes you see it like as like people or manufacturers will put like yellow lenses on fog lights. It's supposed to, like, there have been studies over the years that, sometimes will suggest that it's like, well, actually, like the yellow light is fractionally better for, for like in rain or fog or just overall, that it's like, it's easier on the eyes. And so it's, like a few percentage points, however you want to quantify that. But one place, and I was looking this up this morning and trying to find, I know that it could be completely apocryphal, but France, notably, selective yellow was the law. Like that was the regulation for decades in 20th century France. So all French cars had yellow headlights, and the thing that I remember reading at some point years ago was that actually, like during the war, when like during the German occupation of France, that was like a way that people could tell, especially if you're, resistant, like who was Vichy and who was, like the yellow lights were like if you saw somebody with white lights, you knew that they were fucking the enemy. Right, and that like yellow lights were your friends, like those are your comrades. So, and I always I thought that was kind of a fun thing, and at one point, like with my Saab, like I had painted the lenses of the fog lights on the SPG yellow just because I thought that was just a cool look. I mean, those fog lights are basically fucking useless anyways. I mean, they're not really for anything
just for
but
fun.
Just like, yeah. But then like there's, you can buy, like replacement bulbs that are like yellow bulbs that you can actually like plug into your actual headlights. And so I had that. I got some of those ahead of doing the Fangio video with Davey, and because we hadn't really decided. It ended up being a moot point just because we ended up turning it all black and white anyways. But I remember when we went down to my trusted mechanic Nick's place, and some of that video we shot there on it, like using his lift and the garage that you see in the video, and at one point, like Nick, who is like this kind of grizzled Vietnam vet guy who I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod ever before,
no.
but supposedly he, there's the Seinfeld episode about the Saab Nazi, like the mechanic who you take your Saab, he's like a Saab mechanic, and you take your car to him, and it then becomes like his car, and he's just he's like the
it's just wear and tear.
Wear and tear. I see. You've been rotating the tires?
Try to.
You don't try to, you do it. 51% of all turns are right turns, you know that?
Like the soup Nazi guy,
right.
Where he's like really abusive, and like if you don't treat his car right, like he will fucking go off on you, if you don't treat your car right, or if you take it to somebody else and then bring it back to him, like he will know and he will get fucking furious. Nick claimed to be the real life inspiration for that character. and the thing is, he was just outside of Ithaca, and I can completely believe that somebody in the writer's room, for Seinfeld, had gone to Cornell and had this experience. Like to me, that just seems like
plausible,
completely plausible. Yeah. And knowing that, like having met this guy and gone through the thing, and it's like, well, I can give you the full service, and just being like, oh, what does that mean? He's like, well, I'll put a sticker on the side, and then it's like, it basically like he did, like the thing is, the car needed a bunch of, it was fucked up in 1,000 ways. And I was just like, yeah, sure, man, go for it. And paid him, $600 or $700 to just go through it and do his like full, like Saab certified mechanic, once over. And sure enough, like when I got the car back, it was completely transformed. And it had a sticker that, in the side window that's still there, tuned and serviced by Nicholas Pellegrino. And from that point forward, it was his car. I just was allowed to drive it. Anyway, but the thing that Nick said, he just made an offhand comment about something. Yeah, I noticed the exotic bulbs that you're running there. Yeah, and just kind of and like and Davey who I had brought. Like Davey had no idea like what he was walking into with this situation, and he thought Nick was so fucking hilarious, and he just like later, like afterwards, he was just like, yeah, man, you and your exotic bulbs. I always just think of that. Yeah, I feel like that would be a great like band name, you know.
Exotic bulbs.
The exotic bulbs. Anyway, so yeah, selective yellow, that's a thing too. Sometimes you see people running different color headlights. I guess most notably yellow. Although like now you get the blue cast, right? You ever see those? The LEDs. Anyway, but yeah, I guess like, the other thing, like at some point DRLs became a thing, right? Daytime running lights. And I feel like that was kind of a 90s. I mean, like another example of in Scandinavia, I think that was kind of the law for a while. And it was, and just the idea being that like, yeah, no, you should have your headlights on all the time. Just for visibility, it's just safer. They don't have to be, you know, it's like the idea with DRLs is that they're not as bright as the headlights that you're running at night. They're just like a thing that kind of makes your car a little bit more visible from a distance. And that got picked up in the States in the 90s, like I think kind of voluntarily. I remember like the C5 Corvette, was that like one of the first examples of DRLs? Roy, do you remember?
No, because the C5 was a pop-up headlight car. So it would have been.
It was pop-up headlights, but the marker lights, like the parking, like those were DRLs. That like those were always on, kind of like amber.
It was like the late 90s that became.
Yeah.
And I think like, and that is actually kind of still a headlight problem, is that because your car has DRLs now, usually it is the normal headlights that just stay on all the time. It's just they're not bright because it's daytime. But people, it's like you see this all the time on the freeway, people driving because they think their headlights are on because their DRLs are still on and their rear taillights are not on at all, which is like, or like their side markers are not on. So like, you know, you'll be coming up behind someone fast, like on a country road, and their lights will be off and you won't see them until you're like on top of them.
I actually can't go dark in my Corolla, even though it's as old as like a 2010. I could in my Accord, which was an '01, but my 2010, like I can't go totally dark at all. Like I can only go down to running or up to high beams, which is good. Right. But I do see a lot of cars out there still, or I'll get in a rental. The worst thing in the world is when you get in a rental car and the headlight switches are not easily visible to you, and it's getting dark, and you're like, this doesn't have a sensor. It's not turning on the lights, and it's nighttime, and I don't know where the fucking thing is, or it's like obscured by the wheel, and you're like, I need to pull off the road right now. I hate that shit. Put a sensor in it. It's new.
Well, there's usually like a switch, like the switch position will have all like completely off, or it'll have an auto position, and you have to have it in the auto position for it to come on, or, you know. The other kind of innovation I feel like in the last 10, 15 years, and I guess this is an LED thing, right? It's just like the kind of the use of light, not as a functional thing, apart from just like being, you know, sort of visible during daytime, but the use of lights as just a stylistic element, like that kind of like, and what are the earliest examples of that?
What do you mean? Like
I actually
funny headlights,
like that kind of the kind of the signature headlight thing of just like a little wavy line, or I feel like in the 2000s.
Yeah, I think like the first one that I noticed and that I think about is like Audi's using those, like where it's like
I was gonna guess Audi. Yeah,
it was like a little wave, an LED wave that kind of sat on top of the headlight unit, and I think it was like A4, A5, where it's like the little eyebrows that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
and
like
now,
those things have just become like a ubiquitous kind of
like every
signifier.
car has a signature headlight design now, where it's
Right.
like per brand they all have their own kind of shape
Right.
and rough, which I think is cool. I think that's like a interesting development, and like it is like I don't know, like it's good from a like to have a brand face where it's like each car is kind of reinterpreting its like identity, you know what I mean, per body style or whatever. I think it's cool.
Yeah. No, I like it too. And actually like and it's a little bit gimmicky, and I feel like it might be the kind of thing that like gets dated kind of quickly, but but I actually I kind of like the whole I mean like like the new BMWs with the kind of the outline of the grille, you know, the lit outline, like,
Yeah.
you know, and which I like because they debuted it on the fucking hypercar, on the
race car,
GTP
yeah.
car, you
Yeah.
know, it's like I love that. It's like, this is a style. We're going to introduce this new corporate signifier, visual signifier, and the first thing that we're gonna put it on is a race car. And then we'll trot it out and start putting it on street cars.
Put it on the runway, then put it on the rack.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I like just like, I mean, I see well, like those Chevy the EV Equinoxes, where they just have like the kind of that really thin kind of horizontal bar just going across the front of the car. I feel like there's a few other cars that have pretty similar.
It's like usually
elements.
an EV signifier is like
Yeah.
full width. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Rivian has it. I just
Rivian's got the two little eyes on it too, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that stuff is actually kind of fun and cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It does. I kind of lead back to like the brightness thing. I think like, you know, at the point we are technologically, like you can put out a ton of light. I think like there is probably worth a distinction being made too. Like one of the things that I read pretty commonly is like, oh, this guy had a lights on his roof, roof rack lights, or like bumper lights that were like super bright. It's like, legally speaking, you're not allowed to run those on the road. Like you're not. That's not legal to do. Like you can get pulled over.
Is that
technically. Right? Oh yeah. Like if you have
interesting. Just
if you have
unenforced
big auxiliary lighting, like that's.
I mean, that's got to
like,
be a state by state thing though too.
I don't.
Right?
I'm not aware of anywhere in the world that's legal to do, to drive with like big off-road lights. So like, and that's like, you know, a lot of those lights back in the day used to come from the factory with a big cover, like the little KC highlighter lights.
Sure.
Like those are covers. Yeah. Those make those legal to have on your car while you're driving around. So like, that's why they, like my big Hella
yes, which is
lights
like
that I used to
brighter
run
than
on the Porsche.
Fucking sun.
Yeah, those.
Oh, on the Porsche? I thought you were talking about the one that you put on the Lexus.
GX. That thing was insane. That, but those come with clip-on plastic covers that
right
to make them legal for road, you know, and like a lot of old aftermarket fog lights that you would buy like from Hella or whatever had a clip-on cover, plastic cover.
No, I used to get lit up in New Jersey, but like that's New Jersey where they don't really pull you over for anything. So like it's just a little more loosey-goosey out there.
Yeah, I mean, most cops don't enforce it. I don't think they even really know, but it's in most places it is technically illegal to drive around with your fog lights, or not fog lights, but like big aftermarket lights. But the big complaint, and I do see people like that. Like that is a lot of the times when it's like the most blinding is it's like when someone has an aftermarket headlight that is aimed incorrectly, or like they'll have a correct headlight but like an aftermarket bulb, so like a big LED bulb that's like way more powerful than the stock one, so like then it becomes aimed improperly or whatever. But I guess the the kind of the in Europe, in everywhere except the United States, it's not this way. So I remember like in 2015, probably going to CES, being in the Audi booth, and they had these headlights that basically like create a black spot or a dark spot where an oncoming driver's windshield would be. So like you're driving down the road in your $100,000 Audi, your headlights are mega bright, like daylight bright, crystal clear. The road in front of you, you can see everything. Another driver comes and it just blacks out the little spot where the driver would see your headlights. So like, or like
and
where a driver,
and it's dynamic.
Yeah,
It can actively do this and
Yep.
and move it as the car approaches and
Exactly.
passes.
Yep,
Yeah.
and it'll if you're behind somebody, it's the same thing. It just blacks out that, so there'll be like a little dark spot for the other driver. That's the way headlights are everywhere else. That is not the way headlights are in the United States. The crazy thing is, like, if you buy a new Mercedes or a new Audi in the United States today, they have a lot of them have these really cool like startup animations where like the headlights will do like a little dance for you and like will light up the little areas, and like they can spell things out. They'll like, you can make an arrow like on the road ahead of you or whatever, because it's like hundreds or thousands of little tiny LED filaments that are creating the light, and they can put light where they want it and take away light, or like, you know, not use the light
Sure.
where they don't. Like,
Yeah.
but so you'll have this incredible show when you turn your car on, but then when the car is on, they just work like regular headlights. So it's like you can see that it's possible, but in the rest of the
potential,
world,
yeah.
in the rest of the world, what's happening, and not just on expensive cars, is that they're the people who are driving get the incredible benefit of crystal clear, super bright light, and the people who are pedestrians or other drivers are not being blinded by them. That's like the actual like logical way this should operate. Like that's how, like, it's best of both worlds.
solution.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
safest for everybody.
We have the technology.
We just don't do it here.
Yeah, I was reading about some of the NHTSA versus automaker stuff. What's actually going on with just not getting it together with implementation on all of this?
It's really so before it was like the way that the language was in the NHTSA the NHTSA guidelines did not allow that to happen. So like until 2022, I think it was just like it was like just the specific language was like, this is not allowed. Like, this is how headlights have to be built. This is how they have to operate. This is what they do. That changed like in 2022. There was a lot of lobbying. I remember like talking to the Audi guys.
Yes, Audi's big on
About
this.
it was like, God, this is fucking amazing. And like they were like, yeah, we can't sell them here. We're lobbying really hard to get it reopened, but it hasn't happened yet.
Audi and Toyota were big on it, right? That was what I was reading.
Yeah, but it's still a regulatory thing. I think like they're technically allowed. Like there's regulations that would allow like the adaptive beams, but I think now it's a matter of like the U.S. regulations are different from those in other countries, and it's like trying to figure out how to make the adaptive beam headlights that work in other countries that are legal in other countries legal here. And it's not something like it's a matter of testing, and it's a matter of the way that the regulations are. So it's like technically legal, but like most manufacturers have not found a way to implement it.
I think most of the people working in that NHTSA department just got
gone.
laid off.
Probably gone.
Yeah.
By Doge.
True.
They got Doge. But yeah, like if you look at Audis and you look at like BMWs and a lot of cars, like they do have the headlights installed. It's just like software wise, they don't operate.
God,
Which
that's
is
so
funny.
exasperating.
Yeah. So it's really like, it's funny because it's like, I think us on the pod and like us in general, it's like we're probably more pro regulation than anti regulation. But it is funny, like in a uniquely American way, like even the regulations that are designed to keep us safe are often like so archaic or poorly written that like
Yeah.
they do reduce your safety in the end.
Right.
Or like make your life more miserable. But yeah, it's this is a quote I'm reading. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety statement giving their comment to NHTSA, and one of their lobbying things is circa 2018 is that they're concerned that design for headlight systems currently is supposed to prioritize the driver and not other road users specifically, which seems to be causing a lot of issues in how it's being tested and how it's being regulated and everything else. Like, it does sort of circle back to that idea of, like, we focus on design and safety regulations for drivers as the primary sort of subject and not other road users who the car will interact with. That's the highlighted part in
So
the
this is a
comment.
quote.
Yeah.
This is a quote from Michael Larson, technical fellow for exterior lighting at General Motors. He's a member of the SAE's lighting committee. It says, "We had hoped it would have been a software change, and then it would have been rather quick to get the technology into the market. But when everyone started looking at this complicated regulation, you just couldn't get there from here." It's like,
Damn.
so, yeah.
Oh well.
So yeah, there's a lot of like lobbying, and there's a lot of like consumer groups who are trying really hard to reduce wattage or reduce like the output of headlights. When, like I said, the entire rest of the world does have a very simple solution that is already on the market that you already can buy, that we just can't get here because we can't get the regulatory.
Can't get our shit together
around it. So it is like it. I guess to me, it's like I read a lot of the comments, or read people like on Twitter or whatever, who are like, yeah, headlights are too bright, like this sucks and it's blinding or whatever. And I think like I have a ton of sympathy for that line of thinking, but it's also like this was a problem that's already been solved literally everywhere in every car market in the world except here, and it's not even like you don't have to reduce the light output from a headlight to make the roads safer. You don't have to like put.
I mean, that's the thing from a driver's standpoint.
You want as much light as you can.
So much better. I mean, it's like driving a fucking modern car.
Yeah.
Is incredible, like when you just see like the way that the like the cutoff, like the way how sharp the cutoff is, just like horizontally, I mean it's wild, like how much better they've gotten. But
and I have to imagine like that. This is probably this will be like controversial, or whatever. I would imagine that it prevents more accidents than it causes. Is the level of brightness and distance that you have. Like I was coming up from Detroit, Saturday morning at 2 or 3 in the morning, and like the number of deer that were on the side of the road that like I would never in a million fucking years have seen with old headlights. Like the ability to see stuff in the road, to see animals in the road, to see, like you see so much better. And I have to, like I said, I'd have to imagine that the balance is that the better headlights do probably prevent more accidents than they cause, even with the blinding people thing. But
even as they're causing more migraines than
yeah, for sure. It's not
You can also,
it's not ideal.
Right.
You can also avoid
But
deer in an older, lower profile Toyota Corolla with stupid bulb lights by just going 20 under at 2 a.m. and being safe. But and a lot of us do still have to do that because we have stupid headlight bulbs in a low profile. But I mean, again, a lot of it, there is a lot of safety issues. Again, our driver behavior, like we were talking about with cyclists, like we're talking about with phones, we're talking about with all of this stuff is people are probably, people just generally need to be more vigilant on the road to prevent a safety issue. And we can talk about bulb brightness or whatever all day, or phones or whatever, and a lot of it does come down to you gotta watch the watch the road.
You have to be looking at the road. You have to be that's a big part of it. Is you have to be looking at the road.
It's so crucial that you watch the road when you drive.
You often will
unless
not
you
run
have
into
autopilot.
things.
Unless you have autopilot,
right? Of course,
that's fine.
Now my thing is too, there is a lot of stuff where I'm I wonder if a car with sufficient sensors and cameras and lights or whatever is going to be able to operate in a rural area, even with good road paint and signs and everything, in an environment with a lot of deer. I do kind of wonder if autopilot is just completely,
no, absolutely not.
It's non-viable in that kind of environment. There's parts of North Carolina suburbs where you probably couldn't even manage.
The deer thing is such an exponent. The deer are very.
But I mean, if you had, the thing is, if you had LiDAR, I don't know if LiDAR, but I mean, if you had some sort of infrared sensor.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm serious.
No,
there's no reason that you can't augment. I mean,
Audi's
you could have a fucking display on, a heads-up display on your windshield that just shows an infrared layer.
They do that. So Audi and Cadillac have had that for years, maybe 10 years now.
Well, there you go.
That'll show
they should be paying me royalties because I did think of that all by myself.
It is extremely useful. You can see, we had an Audi S7 long-term. We would drive up to Traverse City from Detroit in all the time, and you can see deer on the side of the road. You can also see cops idling on the side of the road, which is awesome.
Nice.
So they'll be in the woods and you can see
from
the
how
heat
far
signature
away?
From their engine. I mean, it's from far enough to slow down for sure. But
far enough to stay off their radar, out of their radar range.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I haven't had a speeding ticket in a long time and I'm still speeding. So I don't know what that calculus is, but yeah, that it does. They do that. I would say though, I was oh God, driving, if you drive an old car now, if you're used to driving with a new car with modern headlights, and I drive the F-150 around at night, it's I can't see anything. And it's it's you'll flip the high beams on. Yeah. And it's I can't see at all. It is such a vast difference. And it is,
I mean, that's the thing for me is just because I drove shitty old cars for so long, until pretty recently.
Yeah. Same, yeah.
Every time I fucking get into my car now at night, it's just
oh my God.
God damn, man.
I can see everything.
Crazy.
Yeah. Was that always there? Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably the headlight brightness of other drivers does hit you a little harder too if you're driving around in a headlight bulb car, and your general level of light out in front of you is also lesser before the fucking comes and hits you right in the eyeballs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think headlight.
I'm still blinded pretty routinely.
I'm sure. Well,
even with my good headlights.
You've got you're under attack by the LED psychically. But headlight aiming probably too though. If that solves a lot of problems,
that's a real factor. Yeah, for sure.
I would have to guess most cars on the road are still factory aligned. I think I don't see a circumstance, unless there's a car accident and headlights are being replaced, where where most people would be adjusting or even know how to adjust the aim of their headlights. It's a pretty, I would imagine, 95% of uncrashed cars on the road are probably factory aligned. They're probably in their factory settings still. I will say though, people who lifted cars, when you go lift a truck, that, which is very common, that does you should go ahead and adjust your headlights so that you're not pointed directly at someone's passenger cabin. But most people don't do that. They just keep the stock aim. Anyway, go ahead.
Can I tell you how I would adjust the headlights, the aim of the headlights in the SPG?
Please.
Because the kind of the plastic kind of bezel or whatever that the headlight unit kind of screwed into, was mounted into, that kind of kept it flush with the grill. They're pretty fragile. It doesn't take much to break them. And a couple of times, like one time I just like hit like I think I had just replaced it too. I had just got I had found like a used one, new old stock that some guy had, and and replaced it. And then like a week later, I'm fucking driving, on the interstate in North Carolina, and some car like runs over a tire tread and it flips up and whacks the front end of my car and just fucking completely took out the headlight again. Didn't break the headlight, but just like, hit it hard enough that it broke the plastic thing that the headlight was mounted to. And so the way that that I would kind of secure the headlight and adjust it was just through a really elaborate web of zip ties. Just anchored to various points around the kind of the engine
good.
bay in the front end of the car. It's like if I pulled this one just like a little bit more, then it would point it
The
down.
Saab-Nazi, I'm sure, would not have approved of that.
No, I don't think that would have passed muster, but this was post-Nick, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's one other just funny anecdotal thing that I wanted to share, that I always think about, like whenever I have somebody with like really fucking like either with their brights on behind me or just like a lifted truck or just a fucking SUV, whatever, like some high riding car that's just like making me just like physically like adjust the mirrors so that I'm not, being fucking blinded. I always think back to this story in Car and Driver in, I want to say like 1983-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a story about this guy in LA, car builder. I think he was like a stunt man. I can't remember what his deal was. His name was John Ward, Jon Ward. And this was a time, I never hear people talk about this anymore. I don't even know if this is still a thing, but at the time, like in the kind of late 70s, early 80s, every once in a while you would see like these kind of sensational stories on the news where it would be about, they called them bonsai runners. And it was just like guys who would go out onto the freeways like at 4 a.m. when there was nobody around and just like, and they had like exotic, Ferrari Boxers or Lamborghini Countages or whatever. And they would take these cars out and just, drive them flat out on the fucking freeway when there's nobody around. So they're, doing 170 or whatever on the 405. But so this guy had built this car. I think he was, one of this, I'm sure it was like 6 guys who like, who were doing this, and for whom the appellation, whether it was, self-created or put on them as bonsai runners. But, he built this crazy fucking Cadillac. It was a like a first generation Cadillac Seville.
Is this the Evil Seville?
Well, it is an Evil Seville. It is, I think the story, like, I don't know why I have this, like, just incredibly vivid recollection of the story. I feel like the headline of the story was John Ward's Badass Cadillac. And it was it was a first generation Cadillac Seville, which was the kind of the 70s compact Cadillac sedan. It wasn't actually compact, but kind of mid-sized, but handsome car. But he had basically stuffed like a NASCAR chassis underneath it, and just like this completely insane built, like probably twin turbo 454, engine. And it had like completely wild fender flares on it. Like it did not look, it was clearly not stock, right? Because it had like, kind of like box flares, but they're a little bit kind of rounded off. But this car just looked fucking insane. And the license plate, which he somehow got past the California, vanity plate editors, said one bad MF. This is all from memory. I did not have this fucking issue. I can't even tell you what issue it was in. But one of my favorite, the thing that I always just thought was the coolest fucking feature of this just completely fucking batshit build, was the, tell me you found it. Did you find it, Maddie?
Found a picture with the license plate.
Oh, hell yeah. That's it. Oh, one fast MF. Okay. Yeah, I was close. Yeah, and that's it. I remember it weirdly. I remember it being cool. Oh, but yeah, that's the one. The thing is, it is also, I've looked this up like so many times over the years, like trying to find like the actual article or just like other references to it. But it is also, if you, the video for, I Love LA, the Randy Newman song, I Love LA. There's a split second that this car is fucking in it. Like you see it, I would have to go and watch it and find like the exact moment. But if you watch that video, there's a moment where like another car pulls out of the way and you just see you're looking at it like kind of head on. But it's just like, it's literally like a split second. It's an instant. But it's this car. Anyway, the feature that I'm getting to, the back license plate, he rigged up like a little servo motor so that from the inside of the car, he could like flip a toggle and the back license plate would fold down to reveal like a 1 billion candle power driving light. so like if somebody was, if the cops did get on him, or somebody was like chasing him, he could fucking flip this thing and like whoever is behind him is just like fucking obliterated by this blinding like sun of light.
Yes.
And I've always just thought like, God damn it, man. I fucking want that. I want that on my car.
I need that. Just unlimited genocide on the guy behind me.
Yeah, totally, man.
I had a light like that on the GX, but the GX is so slow. It was like it'd be just annoying. But it was like a work light, like if you had a trailer or whatever. There are like guys, you can find them on Instagram or whatever, people who are routinely running from the cops, naughty these days.
I've heard about these.
Who have a similar setup now. Like you can buy them on Amazon. It's like an LED
wow
setup, rear facing setup. There's one other, but yeah, God, there was another thing I was gonna say. But yeah, they do that for that explicit purpose nowadays.
Wow.
We used to, I was gonna say,
sweet.
I don't know.
I better buy it quick before they get tariffed.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a pod conversation or not, but we used to we had this 1 million candle power handheld flashlight.
Oh yeah. All right.
Stay
See you
tight.
guys.
Stay
Peace.
tired. Bye.